What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jordan Cameron back with another update video of where we expect Bitcoin and the crypto market to go next. A lot of you guys, like I said, we're back with another look at why we think Bitcoin is going to continue down for 52 weeks from the top, which it put in October after breaking the 50 moving average band. But the one thing that leaves me scratching my head in this market, and we're going to talk about that today, along with a bunch of other things. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smack the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's jump on in. So I first want to discuss that I know, right, after we sort of broke the 50 moving average band, I've been discussing a little bit more of the bearish outlooks, and I can just tell based on the likes and the dislikes of the videos that a lot of people don't like when I talk bearish. But the first thing I want to sort of discuss is I'm always going to tell you guys exactly how I feel, exactly how I think the market looks based on previous cycles. And I'm not going to change my opinion based off whether you like what I'm talking about or whether you don't like what I'm talking about, right? I'm just going to talk about what I see in the charts and be completely honest with you guys as much as I can. So that's what I want to say in the first thing of today's video, and I just want to make that clear, right? So I think right now, right, that there's going to be a lot of people getting excited that Bitcoin is getting a bounce, right? And it's totally natural, right? We have a lot of things going on in the markets, right? Potentially QE starting in December, right? Or QT ending and QE starting, right, at some point soon, I should say. There's going to be a lot of excitement over that, right? And what I want to discuss today is just the charts, right? Ignoring the news, ignoring the narratives that are out there, and just talking about what's going on in the charts themselves, all right? So the first thing I want to discuss is obviously Bitcoin breaking the 50 moving average band. And as we kind of go along, we're going to talk a lot about that, why we would expect Bitcoin to bottom, right? The actual bottom, not the local bottom, which I think we found a local bottom right now. And as we've discussed, we expect a move back to the 50 moving average band at some point, right? That is to be expected, right? Even from someone who thinks that Bitcoin will continue to go lower, right? We're also going to discuss, right, just looking at previous cycles and why timing has played out exactly the same in the past, right? We're going to talk about stablecoin dominance, why that is actually getting the pullback at the perfect time for Bitcoin and the crypto market to get a relief rally. And we're going to talk about Bitcoin dominance, the one thing that's sort of leaving all of us scratching our heads. All right. So first thing, Bitcoin's breaking the 50 moving average band. Okay. We are getting a bounce, right, off of the previous demand zone, right, the weekly demand zone, which we discussed in our last two videos, right? For the last few weeks, we do expect Bitcoin to get a bounce and a relief rally back up to the 50 moving average band at some point, right? Right now, that's at about 99,000 to about 102,000. And I've been discussing why I think that we're going to get a relief rally back up. Right, it's not guaranteed, which is why I have already de-risked from the crypto market, right? But it's something that I do think will ultimately happen at some point in the next few months. Is Bitcoin getting a relief rally back up to this point? A lot of excitement and enthusiasm will come into the market at that point, but I do think that Bitcoin rolls over from there and continues to go lower after that does happen. And the reason that is because every single cycle, right, whether you like it, whether I like it, I don't like it, guys. The market's way more fun when it's going up, right? We make a lot more money when the market's going up, but we can only discuss what we see in the charts. So whether we like it or I like it or you like it, and whether your grandma likes it or your aunt likes it, right? Every time Bitcoin's broken below the 50 moving average band, right, the 50 moving average, simple moving average, and the 50 exponential moving average, we've seen Bitcoin, that seam has confirmed that the top is in, okay? And from the top, we expect Bitcoin to be in a bear market for 52 weeks and find a low around 52 weeks from whatever the top was after Bitcoin was broken the 50 moving average band. So for us, right, Bitcoin, that was at 126,000. Bitcoin found a top, broke the 50 moving average band, okay? That was the confirmation that, okay, the week of October 6th might have been the top for Bitcoin. We're going to extrapolate that out 52 weeks, okay? And that puts us in the first week of October of looking for a low for Bitcoin, okay? Why do we think that? Well, we go back to all the previous cycles, Okay, every single one that Bitcoin's had, and why I don't think this time is any different. And in fact, it's playing out the exact same, but people are going to think it's going to be different because of whatever reason. It's at the same every single cycle. People don't think that the cycle is going to be any different. People think the cycle is going to be different because of some type of narrative, right? We go back to 2021, right? Bitcoin topped, right? Or Bitcoin went in November 2021, went to about 69,000, broke below the 50 moving average band, right? Right here on January. That was the confirmation, okay? The top was probably in November of 2021. We extrapolated that out 52 weeks. Bitcoin, in fact, bottomed 52 weeks later at about 15,000 to 16,000 here after the FTX crash, right? Break the 50 moving average band. We confirmed the top was in. We extrapolate 52 weeks, right? It was the best time to start buying Bitcoin 52 weeks after the top was in, okay? We go back to 2017. And we can also talk about why, in this sort of market, when we did get this relief rally, right, we broke the 50 moving average band, we got a bounce off the weekly demand, we came back up to the 50 week moving average, we're going to 100K, we're going to 100K, we're going to 100K, right? Institutions are buying, countries are buying, El Salvador. There was a reason for people to think the market was going to continue up right here, but it went up, rejected, and actually had the bigger move down after that point, which reminds me very similarly of right here, where Bitcoin has gone down, breaks the 50 moving average band, finds support here. Over the next few months, I do think Bitcoin continues up, right? At some point here, people are going to say QE is coming, QE is coming, QE is coming, but that's ultimately just going to be another excuse for exit liquidity before Bitcoin continues lower, right? Just like in this cycle. If we actually go back to 2017, all right, it's the same thing, right? We have a massive blow off top. We get to about 20,000 in 2017. We come all the way back down until about June of 2018. We break the 50 moving average band, okay? We come into the previous weekly demand, which is right here. We get a relief rally back up, right? There wasn't really a huge narrative right here. You still had altcoins doing pretty well at this point, so maybe that was the narrative. But ultimately, people thought that this was the bottom and we were going to continue up. But ultimately, we came up, rejected the 50 moving average band, and then got the bigger move down, right? Bitcoin went from about 9,000 to about 3,000, right? About a 70-80% drop right there, right? After we rejected the 50 moving average band. And how long did it take, right? From the top here at 20,000 to the low, you guessed it, right? It was 52 weeks, exactly 1 year, okay? So you saw 2021 was the same thing, 52 weeks from the top. You saw right here, 2017, 52 weeks from the top with a relief rally after weekly demand, both times. That got everyone excited again. Let's continue on. Let's go over here to 2013, right? 2013, Bitcoin tops at 1,200, comes all the way back down. September 2014 breaks the 50 moving average band, right? From that point, we confirm, okay, hey, the top was in, right, at 1,200. We extrapolate 52 weeks, right? At this time, it was a little bit more than 52 weeks, right? We actually do 52 weeks. We only went to about 3,000. This time, it was actually longer, right? Longer. This is why I stress 52 weeks is so important, because it can go longer than 52 weeks. This time, it went 59 weeks until Bitcoin found a bottom at $165. But the bigger move down happened after Bitcoin broke the 50 moving average band, retested, and then went down another 60-70%, right? So you can see in the 3 full 4-year cycles that Bitcoin has had, Bitcoin has had at least a 52-week bear market, okay? With each time breaking the 50 moving average band, retesting it as support, breaking the 50 moving average band, retesting it as support, and then continuing down until it reaches 52 weeks from the top, okay? This is why, for me, I expect that a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of hatred on my videos, I already know, right? I can already see it. The like to dislike button is the most disliked videos. The last 2 videos I made were the most disliked videos that I've ever had on my channel. That just shows to me that a lot of people are bullish, okay? But I expect the hatred and the cope to continue, if Bitcoin does get a move back up into this point here, okay, I'm expecting that there's going to be a lot of people getting really, really bullish, saying QE is coming, QE is coming, QE is coming, right? The bullish narrative that gets everyone drawn back into the market. But ultimately, I do expect that to roll over and to see actually Bitcoin get its biggest move down, right, after that relief rally is finished, okay? So, and that would just be the same as every single other cycle, right? If we move on to this chart right over here, we get rid of these, move on to this chart right here. This is simply an overlay of this, right? From the bottoms of the last two cycles, this is 2021, this is 2017. You guys can see I matched up all the lows, right? We went up for approximately 153 weeks, which is approximately about 3 years. We topped at the exact same point in every single cycle from the bottom. And then guess what? We bottomed at the same point in 2017 and 2021 from the top, right? And how long was that? We can extrapolate that out from here to here, right? Well, I didn't draw it exactly perfectly, but it was in fact about 52 weeks from the top to the bottom, okay? And I think if we just kind of look at where we're at now, we zoom into just the downwards portion, I think we're somewhere about right here in the bear market, right? Where you guys can see we did get some type of relief rally right around this point in the 2017 cycle, and we got a relief rally somewhere around this point in the 2021 cycle. And I do think that this relief rally is going to get everyone sucked back in, get everyone excited before ultimately we do see the bigger move down, right, into 2026, okay? Don't think it happens right away, right? Like I said, I do think a relief rally is coming, but I think that relief rally is going to get everyone way too excited about this market, okay? And that's also evidenced, if we actually go over here to our stablecoin dominance chart, that's also evidenced over here, right? Where we do discuss that this is gonna get a move up, right, to about the 8.8% region. And this would be the perfect point to actually get a short-term rejection right here, same as here, same as here, for the crypto market to actually get a relief rally, right? And you guys can see we have gotten a little rejection, and we have seen crypto get a, albeit very small, considering the drop, very small relief rally, okay? But ultimately, we do expect this to be a stablecoin dominance wipe-off accumulation, which ultimately breaks to the upside, right? Where stablecoins dominate the market, which means that people usually sell their cryptos into stablecoins, okay? After this relief rally is over, we expect this to break to the upside, right? Where ultimately, right, crypto continues to the downside, okay? It's always been the narrative, right? Even when we did expect the crypto market to go higher, right? We ultimately were thinking that this was going to be a wipe-off accumulation and we're going to expect stablecoin dominance to go up. I think right now the problem is a lot of people haven't accepted that Bitcoin's broken the 50 moving average band, and a lot of people haven't really come to terms with what that has meant in the past. People want to think that this time is different. So a lot of people, which loved this chart a couple months ago because it pointed to the crypto market going up because we thought it was going to go a little bit lower. In fact, right, now that Bitcoin's broken the 50 moving average band, a lot of people don't want to come to terms with this actually being a wipe-off accumulation. People agreed with it before. Now people don't want to agree with it because it ultimately is pointing to the crypto market going down, right? And it didn't go as high as people ultimately wanted it to, all right? Now, one thing I do want to discuss, and one thing that I myself am relatively confused about with this market at the current moment is Bitcoin dominance, okay? I don't know what to expect from Bitcoin dominance here. And the reason I don't know what to expect is, for me, I think Bitcoin has topped, right? I do believe that Bitcoin has topped. Whether that's true or not, who knows, right? Bitcoin could ultimately go higher and whatever, that's fine to me. Bitcoin goes to 150,000, I miss out on 40% gains, whatever. That doesn't matter to me too much. But where I'm a little bit puzzled at the moment is Bitcoin dominance, right? Because we've seen Bitcoin dominance fall at two different times of the cycle in the past, all right? And the first one I want to note is this fall right here, right? the one that everyone kind of knows was the 2021 fall in Bitcoin dominance right here. That one was interesting because that fall in Bitcoin dominance, where obviously you guys know if Bitcoin dominance goes down, we expect altcoins to outperform Bitcoin, happened in this time period, right? That fall in Bitcoin dominance here, big fall, happened when Bitcoin was continuing to the upside. Now, the why I'm confused, and that would make perfect sense, right? Bitcoin continues up. Okay, we get an altcoin season, voila, 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 right? That's the most obvious one that people will point to. The one I'm a little bit confused with is this fall right here in Bitcoin dominance, right? From around the same point, they both fell up from about 71%. That fall in Bitcoin dominance. Because what's interesting about this fall, right, it was from about December 2017 to about January 2017. That one actually happened during this time period when Bitcoin was actually already in a bear market. We just didn't know it yet. And actually Bitcoin had, you guys can see Bitcoin had about a month, right, of a retrace back up. And that was ultimately Bitcoin dominance dropping when Bitcoin was going down, right? And altcoins actually going up when Bitcoin was going down. So that's the one thing that I'm a little puzzled about at the moment is could the Bitcoin top actually already be in, right? Just like in 2017, right? The Bitcoin top was already in. But on some type of retrace, that's when you actually see Bitcoin dominance go down. I don't really know yet, right? And I'm not here to make predictions. And honestly, if it happens, it happens. But people like to say, okay, Bitcoin blow off top, we get altcoin season. But it's actually been in the two altcoin seasons we've had, like I said, this one was during Bitcoin going up. This one was actually when Bitcoin was already topped and we saw a retrace on Bitcoin. So it's a very interesting point we're in right now for Bitcoin dominance. Like I said, I'm not going to call for any type of altcoin season. I think it would be very weird if we did not see some type of altcoin outperformance before the end of the cycle, right? My only question would be is I think it only happens in two scenarios, right? Bitcoin either gets another blow off top to the upside, or Bitcoin is already in a bear market and sees a retrace, right? So we'll see which one. I guess I'm not going to make any predictions on that, but I did want to point that out. That is one thing that's a little bit odd in this cycle. Okay. So other than that, guys, I think that's mostly what I wanted to talk about today. Think that's basically it, right? Not too much to update from last week. It's why I haven't really made a video over the last 9-10 days because it's a lot of the same thing, right? Bitcoin's around the same spot it was, right? We're at that low 90,000 level. I think it's likely at some point we see Bitcoin get a retrace back up to the 50 moving average band. But ultimately, I don't think this time is different. I think this time is going to be the exact same. There's going to be a narrative that comes around that gets everyone pumped and gets everyone thinking that, we're going back to the moon. But ultimately, I think, we've seen the 3-year bull market, right? People saying that we're just getting started. We've already seen Bitcoin hit new all-time highs. We've already seen ETH hit new all-time highs. We saw BNB hit new all-time highs. We've seen Solana hit new all-time highs. We've seen XRP hit new all-time highs. We've seen a lot of the top cap alts already hit new all-time highs. The cycle has not just started, right? So that's kind of the video today, guys. Not too much to update. Expect a relief rally, but ultimately I do think that Bitcoin continues down in a bear for 52 weeks. The exact same that we've seen in every single previous cycle, right? The 4-year cycle still remains strong. And each time that someone doubts the 4-year cycle, it just continues to play out the same every single time, no matter what the news event is, no matter what the news narrative is. And that's about it, right? And for me personally, I look forward to any type of buys that we get down here in late 2026, right? Because I do think once we get down to that point, right, wherever the price is, people are going to be saying crypto is dead. There's going to be a lot of bad news happening here, okay? And just like crypto was dead and a lot of bad news happening here, I think it's going to be the same thing. And I look forward to accumulating my favorite things back down in this zone in Q4 of 2026. All right, so that's a video today, guys. I'll catch you in the next video if something changes, but ultimately not much has changed in the past 10 days. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, later.